right, let's go north of the border to Ontario and talk to Cindy. What's up, Cindy?
Hey, Cindy.
You're Cindy.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Hi, Dr. John.
Hey, I'll go
How
by
are you?
Cindy. I'll go by Cindy in this call. You go by John, I'll go by Cindy. Let's do this. This would be hyper confusing. All right, so what's up?
Well, thank you for taking my call. I'm a huge fan of yours, and I listen to your show every day. I'm a little bit obsessed.
Hey, there's about 22 of us now, so thank you for being one of the few. It's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. The reason for my call today is about my husband's alcohol addiction. I have two questions.
Okay.
One, my family and I want to know how to deal with my husband's drinking at family functions and parties. And two, is limiting his access to funds considered financial abuse if I'm protecting our finances from his addiction? So let me unpack that a bit so that you can get some background on what's happening.
Okay.
I'm a bit nervous and I don't want to forget anything, so I hope you don't mind me reading from my notes.
No, that's great.
Okay, great. I feel like my children and I are being gaslighted by my husband about his addiction. We ask him ahead of family functions or parties to either not drink or to limit his drinking. And he'll promise, but he rarely keeps it. And especially if he has access to unlimited beer, like a wedding or a special occasion. So at parties, he'll help himself to other people's beer after he's finished his own, which angers me so much because they're not his to take. His timetable basically revolves around work and drinking after work. He works in the evenings most nights, so on those nights he drinks his 5 tall cans and goes to bed. If he's off work for the day, he usually starts drinking by 3 in the afternoon.
Cindy, how old are your kids?
They're adults. They're both close to 30.
How long have you been living with this?
Probably about that long.
Are you done?
No, I'm not. I'm not done.
Why? Why? You lived with this for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I love him, and he's such a good person, and I don't want to split up the family. We both came from broken homes, and I don't want to ever. I just don't want to go through having the two families.
Cindy, you are living in a fantasy. You didn't break this family up. Your husband chose to not heal from his addiction, not get the help he needed.
Mm-hmm.
And for 30 years, he's told you that you have to do this and you're the reason for this. And you've had to manage that. And you had 2 kids grow up in this mess with an alcoholic father.
Yeah.
And you've got guilt over that. And you've got guilt over all of it. Enough. You're not breaking this family up, Cindy. You're staying safe. And I think he can be I don't want to attach a morality to it. But the good men in my life do hard things on behalf of their wives and kids. The men in my life, the good men in my life, the people I would say that's a good man, looks in a mirror and says, I've got to be different starting now. I've screwed up and I have to make major changes. I know good men who've cheated on their spouses and they've taken a knee and said, I screwed this thing up. I know good men who've stolen and who have lied and said, here's what I'm going to be on the back end of that car wreck. And your husband has chosen not to remain an addict, but he has chosen to not get help.
He one time said that he was going to go into rehab, and I was crying tears of happiness, and then COVID hit, and he ended up talking to an addiction counselor over the phone, and then it just stopped, and he went back to his drinking.
And you went back to your fantasy.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm not in the business of telling people to get divorced. That's not what I do. I am in the business of telling people that they deserve to be loved and they deserve to be well, and you deserve to have a night of sleep, and you deserve to go to a party and laugh and have joy and not worried that the person you brought is going to make a drunken fool of themselves and hurt people.
Yeah.
You deserve to tell your kids, I'm so sorry that I didn't stand up for y'all earlier in this mess. And from this point forward, we're going to do different things. You can do that. Or you can make peace with the fact that I'm choosing to stay with an alcoholic, and this is what that comes with.
Yeah.
That's the choice you can make too. But what you're doing is you're trying to have one thing while doing the other thing, and you're making yourself crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
You got to own the reality. Nothing you have tried in 30 years would give you any data, any sort of indication that he's going to quit drinking. Is that fair?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so let's just take that as a given. He has chosen alcohol as his way of coping with the hard stuff in his past and in his present and potentially in his future. So the only thing you can control is your thoughts and your actions.
Yeah. We came up with an agreement a few years ago because I told him I'm sick of his drinking, and I told him that.
What does his drinking do to you? Does he hit you?
No, oh God, no. He's wonderful in every other way. Like he is a happy drunk. He doesn't get abusive in any way at all.
And why do you want him to quit drinking then?
It's the drunkenness. It's the behavior. When
you said he's wonderful.
Have a conversation.
You said he's lovely, wonderful. He's a happy guy.
He outside of his drinking.
Oh, so when he's
drinking,
when he's not under the influence, drinking, okay.
When he's under the influence, he basically just sits, usually with his head down, and just kind of, you can't really have a normal conversation with him. He gets this look in his face that it's just not.
How many days a week? How many days a week does he drink?
7.
So when is he this happy-go-lucky guy? He drinks every day.
It's in the evening. During the day, he doesn't. He doesn't drink at work. He doesn't drink at home when we're off. It usually, if he's off during the day, he'll start around 3:00 in the afternoon, and he'll usually be in bed by 8 or 9. And during the week, when he comes home from work, because he works nights a lot, he'll
Cindy,
have.
You're not being honest with yourself. You're not being honest with yourself. You're telling yourself things that are simply not true. This has to be incredibly expensive.
It is. He was spending before about $500 or $600 a month, and we got it down to $300 now. But he will. What I've actually done is I opened up a bank account in my own name, and I put all the bills through that account, and he agreed to this. I transfer over $10 a day, which will get him 5 tall cans. And then he'll call me and say, can you top it up? I need a bit of gas, or I need lunch money. And then he'll spend some of that on more beer. And if I say that to him, he'll say, it's my money. I worked for it. It's my money. Just transfer it over. And then he's going out driving around on recycling days looking for empty beer cans and liquor bottles so he can take them back for the deposit, and he'll use that to top up his drinking. It's just ridiculous.
But you contribute, you participate. You're giving him an alcohol allowance, Cindy.
I don't know what else
and he's
to
right.
do.
You, I know. I know.
If I give him free reign, he'll go back to spending between $16 and $24 a day.
You cannot control what
Here.
another adult chooses to do. You can only control you. You are not
I
his.
understand that.
You're
but
not
this
his
is-
mother.
This is our finances.
I
These are our
know.
finances.
You aren't safe, Cindy. Do you work?
Yes, I do.
Would you be able to support yourself?
Probably yes.
If you reached out to your two 30-year-old kids and said it's time, would they weep tears of joy and come help you? Or would they say
They would understand.
They would?
Yeah. They have a lot of issues with him. And
Yeah, I imagine so. Why do you think so little of yourself? And that's a mean, unfair question, I know. But why? Because the person I'm hearing on the phone is a person who's had enough. And you're not dumb. You're real smart.
I don't know. I just don't. I guess because we both came from broken families. I don't want to be that person. I want to make things work. I just keep trying to
No,
make
I know.
it work.
I know your heart's so good. It's already broken. What you have is a home on the inside of it that's completely burned out, and you keep repainting the exterior. And you can stand out in the front yard and be like, "Look at this home. Look how nice it is."
Yeah.
It's not, and you know that.
Yeah.
In the ultimate,
tired.
I know you are. I can hear it on you. In the ultimate form of, I guess you can call it gaslighting, you've now become, your marriage has been weaponized now. Now it's your fault if he does or doesn't drink. Now you're stealing his money. You see how you've become the villain in this by trying to keep him alive?
Yeah.
You're not the bad guy. You are participating. Make no mistake. And I know you feel stuck. I get that. But at the end of the day, he's a grown-up and he's an alcoholic and he's choosing to drink to hide.
What should I do in terms of finances?
I think you need to sit down with one of your older kids and be very, very clear on a spreadsheet or on a yellow pad, for crying out loud. Possibly get with a financial planner and get a very clear reality of where you live. How much debt do you owe? What does rent in the area cost? All those hard questions. But at some point, you walk in and you say, "I'm not going to be your mom anymore.
Yeah.
I've tried to keep you alive for 30 years, and in the process, I've about darn near killed myself." "Oh, you don't love me anymore? You're not going to..." No. I love you so much that I'm not going to carry this anymore. Right? I'm not your social worker. I'm not your mom. I'm your wife.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go down on this ship with you. And these are I can think of very few boundaries that are harder. When somebody that you love is actively struggling with addiction, actively hurting themselves, and at some point you say, "I love you, but you can't do that here." And if you do that here, you are, by your actions, because behavior is a language, you are asking me to leave. Because I'm worth more than this. And you know, if I leave, he's going to drink himself sideways.
Yeah, he is.
And that is a choice a grown-up is going to make. You can call the police and have them do a welfare check. You can call social services and see if they'll reach out. You can walk with him, hold his hand into rehab or into a counseling. You can go, but you can't make him stop drinking.
No.
I can take my 12-year-old and lock him in the house. I can do that. You can't do that with him.
No.
And Cindy, I'm heartbroken for you. I can hear it on you. Love this man. I think that you love the idea of this man. I think you love the story about this man that you've told yourself for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this man's redeemable. I think everybody is. I really do. But he's going to have to choose redemption. You can't push him into it.
No, I realize that.
And that's so hard.
Yep.
If I'm you, if you're my wife, you wouldn't be my wife, but if you were my mom, if you were my sister, I would tell you to call your 2 kids and y'all go have an in-person meeting if at all possible. And say, I'm exploring taking care of myself for the first time in 30 years. I'm exploring being safe for the first time in 30 years. I need some help with finances. I need some help with what comes next. I need some help talking to Dad. I'm going to need to get a alcohol counselor and see if we can get over here and do one last intervention and put some very strong boundaries in place. And I'm going to have to do the nitty-gritty of finding out what a 1-bedroom apartment costs. And then, man, you're going to have to grieve it because you've been propping up this picture of a perfect family for a long time because you didn't want this to happen, and it did. And we have to own what happened. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. The world is begging you, Cindy, and everybody listening, not to keep replaying and propping up these old pictures, but to ask ourselves in that mirror, what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now? That's the question all of us are asking.